is why I enjoy working on an Australian-built classic mini Clubman over a round nose. G'day and welcome back to Australia's best classic mini YouTube channel. So you're probably wondering, why am I pulling this car apart? Whose car is this? And what are we doing to it? So before we go any further, let's just check out the quick video the customer sent me and wanted me to have a look at. Did you just see what I saw? If not, let's watch it again. Alright, so as you saw, that thing is cactus. He said he's knocking off its head. When you put your foot on the clutch, the engine stalls. Now that is a really, really bad sign. Like we've spoken about when we did the Morris 850 and even the 1275 build, we spoke about that if you ever go to put your foot on the clutch, you are physically trying to push the crankshaft out of the block itself. Now, this to me tells me that the clearances are either too tight or there is another problem with the engine. I didn't show you pulling everything apart up until this point solely because you've already seen how to do it, and it is quite simple to remove the clutch cover. So all I've done so far is pull the engine out. He has removed the cylinder head for me, which is, you know, one easier step. I've pulled the clutch cover off, I've removed the flywheel, and this is what we found. So let me just grab the camera and you can have a look exactly. All right, there we go. All right, so I found all these metal filings down around here. It's all over the clutch, it's over the flywheel, it's absolutely everywhere. So there's no engine oil contamination. There's no metal in the engine oil, but there is filings all around here. Originally I thought it was from the starter motor. Upon further inspection, this ring all around the outside runs all the way around the transfer case, all the way down there. The flywheel has been moving around. Now, like we've spoken about before, there needs to be a set of clearance or end floats for this primary gear. So that's moving quite a bit, which I'm sure you can see just in me moving it, how much is actually moving. My concern was that the crankshaft is actually moving far beyond what it needs to. Now, on the other end of the engine, where the crankshaft pulley is, I did try and get a large screwdriver down there to try to get the movement out of the front, but unfortunately I couldn't get the crankshaft to move. So, it brings me to my next point. The next part we need to check is the opposite end, so the flywheel end, to see if there's any movement there. So, let's just have a look to see what I've literally just found. Can you see and hear that? That is ridiculous. Yes, the engine is rocking, but look at that. Side to side movement. Not a lot up and down, but there's side to side, and there is also lateral movement, so in and out. So this is quite concerning. The concern that I have now is that the crankshaft is shagged and the block is shagged as well. So until we pull it apart, we're not going to know. But essentially here we have way too much end float, and there's probably a couple of bearings in there, so a couple of main bearings that are destroyed. We're going to pull the transfer case cover off, and then we're going to start stripping the gearbox off the engine. Once we've done that, we can then assess the block and see what it's like. But by the look of this, it is not going to be ending well. Hopefully, best case scenario is we can hopefully machine the crankshaft and put a couple of new bearings in, a couple of new shells, and away we go. That'll be best case scenario. If not, we are going to have to do a full engine rebuild on this thing, and probably even a new block, depending how much damage it's done. If we find that it's beyond repair, we're going to have to get rid of it and get another block. So come along for the journey. Let's have a look. Alright, so when assessing things like this, you just want to make sure that you cover all bases. And this is likely going to snowball into either a full engine rebuild, or worst case scenario is a new crankshaft and new block, depending if they are going to be able to machine it or not. Now I do expect to see that once I pull this off, some damage inside there. But we may not. Okay, so we're pretty good. So far so good. Well, I'll put that to the side. Now I am quite surprised that there is no metal inside here whatsoever. When I drained the engine oil, it looked fine. It didn't look like there was any metal in there. All these gears, that's pretty normal for that to be loose. So I'm just going to pull the circlip off here. Pull that one off. Okay, so there are some wear marks on there where it's been rubbing. That is fairly normal because obviously that's going to be spinning. There is a brass bush here as well. Okay, so we'll pull this one off. Oh, okay. So as you can see here, the inside of this gear, oh my goodness, it's actually quite worn. Now this bush should, okay, this bush should be able to stay inside here. I'm not sure if you can see the camera, the light. I'll try and get it in a better angle, but you can hear how scratchy it is inside there. Now that might just be machined like that, and it could just be like that. If that's the case, then so be it. But usually the bush will stay inside here just like it did here as well. So these are machinable. You can get different ones, and then you just mill it down to where you need it. But that looks all right. There's a couple of light scratches on there, and it is brass as well, so it is quite soft. So I'll put that aside as well. Now the bush itself has remained on the crankshaft. I did just have it loose a second ago. I'll see if I can wiggle that back on. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to be able to get that off without... Oh, there we go. Okay, so I spoke too soon. So yeah, that should be pressed inside here. It shouldn't be separate at all. The fact that it's spinning independently is not good, because it needs to be running on here with a film of oil. It kind of feels like it hasn't been fitted correctly, or it's had a wrong one fitted to begin with. But either way, that should not be loose in there. That should be pressed in there. It should be a snug fit. Right, so we've got the end thrust washer as well. If I can get this off. Alright. So that looks alright. There's a bit of scoring around the outside on there as well. Hopefully you can see that. I'll just see if I can bring it a bit closer. Sorry about the light, it is a bit bright out here. Yeah, so it looks like there's a mark all the way around the outside where it's been rubbing, and that's normal. That is just a film of oil on each side that just lubricates it in order for it to spin. The biggest concern I got right here is this. The concern I also have is that maybe something is broken. I can see two of the pistons moving. I'll just grab the camera and I'll show you. So when I move it back and forth, you can see the two pistons. Not sure if you can see that, but both pistons there are moving. So number 4, number 3, whereas number 2 isn't. So I hope it's not what I think it is, which is a broken crankshaft. But a good way to test it is to rotate the crank. So let's do that and see if we can see anything happening. Alright, so I'll just grab the camera. So all I'm doing here is just rotating the crankshaft. Now I did just see something very, very concerning. So you hear that noise. Take note that cylinder 2 is not moving, but 3 and 4 are. Tells me the big ends are gone. So I'll just bring this right up to the top, and you should be able to have a better look. Right, so yeah, so see how the pistons are slightly turning when I rock it? That tells me that the big ends are gone 100%. The fact that they have individual movement and that I can push them down with my finger is not a good sign. So let's get stripping this and see how much damage has actually been done. just pulled it apart, and this thing is worse than I anticipated. Well, it's actually kind of a good thing, but it's also quite bad. So let's come down and have a look. So we got the crankshaft, we got the main bearing caps, so these here, I'll just try and go from the other side. So you got the main bearing caps here, these are your big ends, so this is what connects the con rods to the crankshaft all the way along here. So she's looking really good. I'm not sure if anyone has picked up on it yet, but let's just have a look here. Somebody's on crack. Let's just have a little bit of a look. Ta-da! In all my years of being a mechanic, I have never, ever, ever once seen a broken crankshaft. That's our problem there. So moving forward from here, what we will be doing, you can see all this elastic, someone has pulled it all apart. It looks like it's been apart at one stage. There are some markings down there, not sure if you can see because the light is quite bright. But someone has definitely had the con rods out of it. They've possibly even done a camshaft. So what we need to do moving forward from here is remove the crankshaft, and then probably send the block away to get tested and make sure that nothing is out of round in terms of the journals, the big end bearing caps, or even the mains, anything in there. Just make sure that everything is still rotationally good. So the biggest fear that we'd have here is we would not get it tested. Would go get a new crankshaft, we'd put it in, and then it would be out of round. So all the mains, the main bearing, should I say, completely ovaled, and then we need a new block. So from here, I guess we'd take the whole thing down to the machine shop and tell them, hey, tell me how good this is. See if it actually spins. If it spins in there, then it's all good. We can probably get away with just doing a new crankshaft and get the bigger size bearings to suit. Worst case here is we send it away, they say it is completely toast. We then need to buy a whole new block and a crankshaft. So this is definitely a first for me. I've never seen this in almost 20 years. So if you guys have seen this before, please leave it in the comment section below. I'd be really interested to see. So let me go back to the customer. I'll have a chat with him, see what he wants to do. But from here, there's only really one way to go forward, and that is up. It's going to cost a lot of money, but it is the best option we can do. So we'll see you right here on another episode of Tomo's Tune Ups.